What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the episode of Steelers Breakdown. Nick Faribaugh here with you all. Got some things to talk about today. We do Colts game in 3 days. Today's Thursday, of course, and that's gonna be a fun game. We'll talk about that tomorrow and get into that. Um, Specifically because I think it's a really fun matchup. It's like if you love the trenches like you did last week, there's a lot of great hard-hitting matchups there. TJ Watt versus Braden Smith, Keanu Benton against Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson against Cam Hayward. Like you can make a pretty decent argument that the best O-line of football is the Colts. They have that talent across the line, and I think, as I've said before, best defensive line in the NFL is in Pittsburgh. So I am really looking forward to that one. But I want to talk a little bit about some growth areas I've seen in the Steelers over the first 3 weeks because I think, we talked yesterday about areas of improvement to get better at for the future. Let's talk about where they actually have improved. Specifically, we can talk about relative to last year and even from week one. So I want to start on the defensive side of the football. And Terrell Austin touched on this a little bit. You're wondering why the run defense is a top three unit in the NFL right now. You're wondering why the pass defense is, again, not allowing much yardage. Last year, the Steelers were a very good scoring defense. They were top 10 scoring defense, got a ton of turnovers, still created some havoc up front, but they allowed a lot of yards. Teams sustained drives on them. Part of that was because the Steelers' offense had too many three and outs, and obviously the synergy this year is working a lot better because even if the offense isn't putting up a ton of points right now, it is sustaining drives, converting on third downs, and as a result, the defense is not playing a ton of snaps. Are winning the time of possession battle. All of these things kind of work together in synergy with each other. You have a fresh defense. It works, right? So that's part of this, but look at the team speed on defense. Let's look at, the guys they added to this room that are new. Patrick Queen, 4-4, maybe low 4-5s guy. Peyton Wilson, a 4-4 guy. Dante Jackson coming out as a 4-3 guy. He's either still a high 4-3 or a low 4-4 guy. His speed's still there. Beanie Bishop, a 4-4 guy. Deshaun Elliott's testing numbers aren't great, but he definitely plays fast. And then you have everybody else. Minka's healthy and his speed and athleticism is all there, right? You have so much athleticism in this room. The defense is a swarming. I like the pack of hyenas. I just don't like it just for the defensive line, though. I think it's the whole defense because you look at how the corners are coming up in run defense. Like Dante Jackson and Joey Porter Jr. are fitting and run. They're hitting hard. They're willing tacklers. This is the best group of tackling corners the Steelers have had in a very long time. And so this is awesome to see. It's probably their best group since at least 2021, maybe 2020, right? Hayden was a decent tackler when he needed to be, but he wasn't this willing. Cam Sutton has proven to be a much more better tackler, and obviously they had Mike Hilton in there. But this year, guys, they are willing, and Dante's small, but he hits hard. He puts his body on the line. It's huge to be able to do that because last year and this year, specifically why it's so important is a lot of teams are not going to want to run through the teeth of the Steelers defense. They're going to want to avoid that front. They're going to want to run outside of it. Even this week, right, with Nick Herbig, like they're going to test Nick Herbig on that side. And even if he holds strong, they're going to try and pop it outside sometimes with Jonathan Taylor. And so the fact the corner tackling has been awesome this year has been so big for the run defense. And more importantly, when the ball is caught in space, they are not missing tackles. That is a huge thing. I think part of the struggles last year with so much yak, I think the Steelers are like the fourth most yak last year in the NFL. I think they are third lowest in the NFL this year. Yes. So that's just a huge swing, and it's because of the tackling in space. That has been a huge area for them. They've even grown on this, throughout the season, I think, but just a huge area. If you're wondering why the defense is getting off, as much as the pressure matters and all of that, and that, coverage is better, this is huge. The tackling in space, it is so much better, and it is a massive, massive boost to the Steelers defense. I think another thing that I've really liked since week one, specifically this is on the offensive side of the football, has been the fact that we are starting to see the passing game grow up. And it's kind of growing up with Justin Fields in the offense, right? Like Justin Fields came into this offense, and the first week was quarterback design run game, lots of leaning on the run game, rollouts, like simple stuff, RPOs, like all heavy stuff. Like it was a handcuffed quarterback game plan. And that's great because you get him, you neutralize Gray Jarrett and Matt Judon in that game, and you stay away from Jesse Bates. And then on top of that, you also look at where he was and said, okay, we need to rebuild this guy's confidence. And so it was great. But now you're kind of starting to see the old concepts from Arthur Smith's playbooks pop up, right? You're seeing the middle of the field. You're starting to see the play action shots come into effect. Now they haven't hit those yet. That's the next step, but you're starting to see things grow up. There's definitely room for improvement. But Arthur Smith is kind of taking it incrementally. And some of that's probably specifically game playing for specific opponents, trying to build confidence up of an O line that has a lot of shuffling, of a quarterback that definitely needs the confidence, of a wide receiver room that still has questions. Like all of these things come into account. But Smith has done a nice job of that. I don't think there's really any doubt. And they have hammered the nail in the run game. They have had positive game scripts because they've just been flat out better than teams. I see a lot of, Tomlin voodoo magic going around when people talk about why the Steelers are 3-0. They've been better than these teams. They're flat out better than the three teams they have beaten. Like that has been the difference this year. And I think people ignored some of the upgrades they made this offseason. And this is why I think the ceiling of this team is higher than last year's team or the previous teams that made the playoffs earlier this decade. Like there is some sustainability to this group. Now they have to take leaps in certain areas to where I can definitively say, yes, this team can win a playoff game. But like, look at what the offense has been without an early efficient running game. They have been they've been picking away at the run game and then they hit big runs late, like against Atlanta, right? Run game didn't really start off super hot, but as the game went on, they started to get runs going. Same thing happened against the Chargers where they hit the big runs in the fourth quarter. Justin Fields and the offense, specifically George Pickens. I want because George Pickens has just been absolutely awesome through the first 3 weeks of this season. Have been able to win in the drop back game because when they stayed ahead of schedule, like and when they struggled, specifically in that second half against the Broncos, they were behind schedule, whether that was penalties, bad sacks, Fields, having his worst half of football with the Steelers. Like there was a lot going on in that second half, and it didn't relate a positive game script for the Steelers because they were going third and 11, third and 12, third and 9, way behind the sticks. But the Steelers have been able to convert on third downs because they kept it third and manageable. And so that has been a big part of it too. But with the drop back passing game kind of being your crux right now, and not expecting that to be your crux, and you still have the play action shots that can come up, and you still have an efficient early running game that can still crop up. Like there's upside to this offense being much better than it is right now. And so while the Steelers rank low in a lot of efficiency metrics and a lot of bad, they have a lot of bad metrics going for them. There's also a lot of positive signs saying, hey, they haven't even unlocked this part of the offense yet. And you should feel positive about that, right? The efficiency in the run game. Well, that should come when a quarterback and the O line and the running backs and all of these new pieces gel together. There's time to gel still. Isaac Seumalo is going to be back. That's a big boost. Maybe if you want to get the passing game going even more, maybe you trade for a wide receiver. Like there are lots of things that you can point to. Roman Wilson still hasn't played. Like that is a lot. There's a lot of upside to this offense, and so there's sustainability to it. And you kind of look across the team. You talk about tackling. Like the speed has been better, and there's just better players. The linebacking room is better than last year. The safety room is better than last year. The corner room is better than last year. The D line's better than it was last year. Now the D line didn't really add people outside of Dean Lowry, but it's better because Keanu Benton took a jump. Cam Hayward's back to being Cam Hayward. Nick Herbig took another jump. Like they are better across that entire defense. Then you look at the offense, right? Like better at quarterback. OC's better. There's still issues, but it's a better team. It's better constructed. It has sustainability. And so I don't think the 3-0 start is necessarily just this foul thing where everybody, looks and says they're frauds. Like this doesn't have a ceiling collapsing in on it from the signs we have seen. And there's just sustainability to it because there should be upside to it. And this defense looks completely legit. And even if the defense isn't, say, best in the league good, and they're just top 10, top five, folks, the tests on the schedule are not really there, at least until the second half. Like Aaron Rodgers will give them a test. I think the Cowboys are going to be an interesting test, even if they can't run the ball. I'm just interested to see Dak and CeeDee Lamb and those guys against them. But this defense, this is a good test this week. Like, it's a great running game against a quarterback that can hit explosives and can either throw the game away or go on a heater. And we'll see which Anthony Richardson shows up, but that's going to be big. But like this team, and kind of why I wanted to talk about these areas of growth, whether that's in the passing game, the play calling, the sequencing of things working off each other, understanding your personnel, like even punting. Like look at Corliss Waitman has been great since coming back, and he has given them legitimate field position upside. Like when you play ball control like that and you win the field position battle, that is huge. And so they've just been playing center. They've been very synergetic with each other. And so all three phases are kind of working with each other. And while it's not a perfect team by any means, they have a formula to win. And so I'm buying this team right now as being a team that has a higher ceiling than last year's team. They can win a playoff game because I think there's still things that we haven't seen that haven't been revealed just yet. And so I'm looking at this team right now. The Steelers, I'm hoping to see continual growth, right? We don't want to see the backslide. Even if they lose a game or two, which they're going to eventually, right? This team is eventually going to lose, and then we're going to harp on the issues. And I harped on the issues yesterday already of what I saw in the offense specifically that could hurt this team. And those will only be talked about then. But still, I think the underlying thing with this team is there is a level of sustainability to it. And so I think that is where things go. Tomorrow, folks, we will talk about the Colts, break them down, talk about where I'm looking at mismatches, potential areas of danger for the Steelers, where they could drop this game, how they can win, etc. So just as we do every week here on a Friday, folks, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell for more. If you are listening to this on a podcasting platform, make sure to leave a review for more. Thanks for listening, everybody.